Hey everybody, today is November 1st and we are pleased to share these 8 puppies with you from Misty and Timber. They're doing wonderful. Right now, Misty's milk is coming in and you can actually see them guzzling. So their head's not bobbing too much and they're just swallowing away right now. So we have 6 girls and we have 2 boys. So usually we have more boys than girls. So you never know what Mother Nature is going to give us. So we're excited to share these 8 pups with you. We have all the girls up here: purple, dark pink, teal, and then down in here Miss Gray, light pink, and Miss Yellow. And then we'll have light blue for our boys and dark blue. So dark blue and light dark blue and light blue are the boys, and the girls are yellow, light pink, teal, gray, dark pink, and purple. So these pups are officially about 48 hours old. They started arriving on Wednesday the 30th, and so pretty much Misty started into labor, and we had a couple of all-night parties. So at the wee hours of Wednesday morning, about 1:30 in the morning, we could tell Misty was in full nesting mode. So we started our watch with her, staying up with her and making sure we were attentive to the whole process with her. And by 2:45 in the afternoon, the first girl arrived, and by 10:20 at night, the last boy arrived. So then we continued to monitor Misty closely. She surprised us. We didn't think that there was going to be this many pups in her. She didn't look as big as what these 8 pups are. All these pups are a good healthy size. The smallest one being a little light pink here, but even she is not abnormally small. We just have some really big pups. So that's the reason why Misty was just not wanting to eat a lot. She had no room in there for her to store any food that she was eating. So she didn't look as big as what these 8 pups, the space that these 8 pups were going to take. And so she surprised us. We just continued to watch her, and she has just settled into the mama mode excellently. This is her first litter, so we never know quite what to expect. When you think of dogs and breeding processes and things like that, you think of temperaments, you think of personalities, colors, size, things like that. But a lot of people don't realize one of the big variables of the dog world for our side of things is how well do they handle the mothering process? Does their mothering instinct kick in? We talk about them being a hunting breed and things like that, and everybody thinks of, do they have hunting instincts and things like that? Not every dog has a really strong mothering instinct. And so we just continued to watch Misty through the night, Wednesday night into Thursday morning, to just see how she would settle in with her pups. And she has done amazingly well. So she has kept up with them. She is very attentive to them. We have to coax her away from the pups to get her to eat her dinner and have a drink and things like that. So her mama mode is top flight right now. So this is exactly what we would expect from a mama with good mothering instincts and keeping up with her pups, and they're all gonna benefit from that. So Misty, we called our vet's office to schedule tails and dew claws appointments yesterday morning. So Halloween morning, we contacted our vet's office and said, hey, we've got 8 new pups. We're excited. We need to schedule their tails and dew claws. That's normal to do at a very, very young age. And so our regular vet was actually out that week, all week, for surgery that they had. And so our regular vet was not going to be back in town till next Thursday, which is a week away. That's too long to let new pups go. Their development and stuff is rapid during their first week of birth, and you want to get those tails and dew claws taken care of. So we ended up calling around, and we have another vet that we've been to that's actually quite a ways away from us, but it's the vet that's certified to do our hip scans and things like that. And so we called that vet and spent a lot of yesterday driving to and from that vet's office, and they got their tails and dew claws done. So you'll notice the tails have the little stitch in the end, and you'll notice on these pups, I'm going to use dark pink here, you'll notice they have a little tiny scab on the side of their paw from the remnants of the dew claw. And then you'll also notice that their umbilical stump is still drying and falling off, so they still have a tiny bit of their umbilical cord hanging out there. So anyways, that's a little bit of the birth story of the pups. They're just doing amazingly well, and we're really happy with where they're at. Misty is doing awesome. She's just a beautiful mama, beautiful color to her, and her pups with the genetics of Timber have come out wonderful. Sometimes we have a little bit of a spectrum when it comes to the color of the pups. With this particular group, one of the reasons why I'm kind of holding the camera and panning back and forth on the pups right now, so you can see the pups right now. This is going to be one of our earliest and best chances for you to kind of get an idea of which pups are lighter and which pups are darker. Now, if you're looking at all these and you say, well, they all look the same to me, that's because these pups are very close together. Sometimes we see a broader spectrum between a little bit of a lighter pup and a little bit of a darker pup. These pups are all very mid-range in their tone. And then at birth, they actually have a little bit of a variegated color, almost like a camo stripe pattern to their coat. That is part of the genetics of their survival of the fittest, things like that. If they're patterned, then they're able to hide from predators a little better. If mama was out and feeding out in the wild and these pups were born and a predator was flying over at this size, a hawk or something like that would love to feed on pups. They would blend in better. I don't think that these pups would survive, another predator, 4-legged predator that was coming after them. Those ones would sniff them out and find them. But that's why they have a little bit of a variegated color. That striping goes away in the next couple of weeks. So next couple of weeks, their ears and their eyes are also going to open. They are sealed at the moment. So anyways, that's these pups. They're just all super close together in colors. If I had to pick one that was lighter and darker, I almost keep changing my mind. It kind of depends on which way they roll. If you look at their spine, that's the darkest part of their coat, but if they're on their side, then it looks lighter. So it just depends on which side of them is facing up, and which way my head is tilted and which way the light is shining off of their glossy coat. So they're just all really, really close. So over time, we'll look to see if there's a more pronounced difference. Sometimes that will become more manifest by that 5-week-old mark when we start their selection process, because their coat actually changes quite a bit between now and 5 weeks old. Right now this is a puppy coat. I'm going to use Miss Teal as an example. They have a really thick coat at this age, but it's not very long at all, and so their stomach is covered up pretty well. As they get older, it's like their surface area of skin increases, but their fur particles don't. So it's like their fur kind of thins as they get older, and so it's going to change a little bit between this newborn coat to their puppy coat, and then it'll change again for their adult coat. So these different layers of fur that they have, it will change over time. So next I'm going to go through each one of the pups and hold them up close to the camera so you can get an idea of the differences of each one of them. So let me get the camera kind of situated here and sat down so I can use my hands a little bit better. Okay, here we go. I've got my notes written down. We take notes of the pups and keep track of their growth patterns and things like that. It also helps us if we need to monitor a pup, or if one's not eating enough. We can just pick their color out, make sure that they get their fair share if they seem to be getting pushed to the side, because they all need to take their turn so that they all keep up their energy, so they all can have a good amount of milk. So right now Mama's colostrum has been passing through the pups. They get a high degree of immunization from that colostrum. It's super energy dense and nutrient dense for them, super important for them to get that. So we've been very careful to make sure all of the pups, even little light pink, make sure that she's had her turns, that her size doesn't lend to letting the other pups kind of push her away and not get her fair share. So they've all been doing well with that. So I'm going to start with Miss Gray. These are in no particular order. It's just the order that I picked the pups and started weighing them and putting their collars on them and things like that. So Miss Gray here today is 0.77 pounds. She's not the smallest, but she's on the smaller side of the spectrum for this litter. And on her markings, we've got an almost clear chest. She just has the very slightest hint of a couple of hairs on her chest. She's clear on her toes, and then I'll just show you that clear on her front toes, and then I'll show you that she has just a couple of frosted back toes. Almost can't see those in the camera, but we're expecting her to have a few light hairs on her toes. So breed standard, it's common to have them marked chest and toes, and then there's variations on some of that and how far those markings spread out from there. So Miss Yellow is 0.83 pounds, and she has a very slightly marked neck area. I actually wonder if you could pick that up on the camera, but it's possible if maybe you can see that. But very slightly marked neck and a very slightly marked groin area, so just left and right of their groin, there's a few light hairs there, but she's clear other than that from what we can tell. So an almost solid color pup, and that is Miss Yellow at 0.83 pounds. Next we have Miss Teal, and she is 0.97 pounds, one of the bigger girls, and honestly the size of between the biggest of these pups might just be who pooped last and who ate the most last, because Teal is 0.97 pounds and dark pink is 1.05 pounds, just super close in size. So Teal's one of the bigger ones. So markings wise, we can't detect any markings at this point on her. Feel like she's a solid pup. So if anything manifests later, we might be able to see something as a longer coat comes in, but right now I can't see anything at the moment. So you can see Misty likes to keep her pups huddled in, and she's keeping herself clean. There's a discharge that's will continue for the next little days of afterbirth and things like that. So she cleans herself up and cleans out the pups. You might notice some darkness on her tail and back leg and things like that. That's the afterbirth discharge from that. So next is Little Light Pink. So she's 0.66 pounds. She's not an abnormally small pup, but compared to these large siblings of hers, she looks small. So 0.66 pounds is over a half pound, and generally speaking, an 8-ounce pup to 10 ounces is an average. A larger size pup is going to be like 12 and 13 ounces. So we have some pretty good sized pups from little Misty here, and I think some of that's coming through Timber's genetics. He's a good sized male. So Little Light Pink is 0.66 pounds. She has a very slightly marked neck area just underneath her collar, and a big, beautiful, broadly marked, bold chest marking. They don't like me to hold them like this. This is very unnatural for them to be held up on their back like that. So she's going to protest a little bit. So it's fun to see some of these markings come through. If you go back and look at the history of the Vizsla, there's some early photographs, newspaper photographs or magazine photographs from some of the earlier families that brought in Vizslas from the European nations shortly after World War II, and you can see their dogs and their markings. They were very heavily marked from what I can see in those early photographs, and just big, broadly marked chest markings and things like that. So it's not surprising when we see some of that come through on the genetics over time. So she had that bold chest marking, and then I forgot to mention she had a very slightly marked groin area, and I'm getting just a hint of a few hairs underneath in some armpit areas, some white hairs there. So that is Little Light Pink. And next we have Big Dark Pink. So Dark Pink is tipping the scales at the biggest of the females at 1.05 pounds, and she is an almost solid girl. We are trying to determine if there might be a couple of light hairs maybe in her neck area. Just if there's just one or two, so we'll kind of see if those manifest more later. Then just a few light hairs around her groin, but other than that, an almost solid pup there. So that is Miss Dark Pink. And last but not least of the girls, these 6 girls, we have Miss Purple, and she's 0.85 pounds. And if I just had to just guess right now, I think Purple is maybe one of the darker females out of the group. So just how she catches the light a little bit. So she has maybe just the slightest number, maybe like 4 hairs of a dot on her chest is all I'm detecting right now. And then I'm not really seeing anything around her groin or her front or back toes. So Miss Dark Purple at 0.85 is just, I'll call it a ghost dot on her chest, since it was Halloween yesterday. We'll call it a ghost dot on her chest, and she's just another fun, beautiful pup. So out of the boys, Mr. Light Blue and Dark Blue are at the cafeteria over here with Mama, and so I get to be the bad guy and pull them away. Come here, Light Blue, you're next. Come here, come see me. So light blue, I'm just gonna hold these boys up side by side really fast. I suspect these guys are almost twins. They are both 1.01 pounds, and their markings are almost identical. They have a dot on their chest. Oh, it's kind of hard to hold them. I'm gonna do one at a time now. They have a dot on their chest. So light blue, his is right of center on his chest, and dark blues is left of center, but their mark is almost the same size. So they both have a little bit of a highlight in their collar area on their neck, and they both have some slightly marked armpits areas and slightly marked groin areas, and so they're just so close it's not even funny how close they are. Just that left of center and right of center is about their only distinguishing difference right now. They're just super close to the same size and same colors, things like that. So I think that would just be amazing if they actually were twins. It's hard to know. They didn't come out at the same time, and they didn't come out in the same sack or something like that. So, but they just look so close. Maybe light blue is a shade darker. I don't know if that looks the same on the camera as I look at these two. And so light blue just might be a shade darker on his coat color. So that's these 8 pups. We just are delighted to share the news of their arrival, and we're delighted that they're doing well. They have completed a big milestone for getting their tails and dew claws taken care of. Misty is doing amazingly well with taking care of them, and she can get back to eating regular schedules and regular sized meals again now that she's got some more room in there. So thanks for watching this. We'll keep everybody updated about weekly with update videos of these pups, and look forward to sharing those with you.